Just 1 week after the Jordan brand launched in 1985, a staggering 450,000 pairs flew off the shelves. 6 weeks later, that number skyrocketed to 1.5 million pairs, blowing past initial expectations by over 450%. Fast forward today, and the brand's not just a household name, it's a global phenomenon, with over 150 million pairs sold and a jaw-dropping market cap exceeding $25 billion. At the heart of it all is Michael Jordan, the man who turned sneakers into a cultural movement. His partnership with Nike's earned him $1.5 billion, cementing his legacy both on and off the court. But what would you say if I told you that Michael Jordan almost walked away from the deal before it even began? When Nike first came knocking, he wasn't interested at all, and if it weren't for his mom stepping in and setting him straight, the world might never have seen the iconic Jumpman logo. This is the story of how the Jordan brand went from a risky bet to a multi-billion-dollar empire, all thanks to one of the greatest what-ifs in sports history. But to really understand the story of the Jordan brand, we first have to understand the journey of Nike, because in the end, it always goes back to the biggest shoe brand on the planet. Except in the 80s, Nike was not the biggest shoe company it is today. It was just another company that was struggling to keep its head out of the waters in the shoe market. You see, Nike's journey began in 1964 when a determined track and field coach, Bill Bowerman, teamed up with his former student Phil Knight, an athletic with an MBA and a big vision. Together, they founded Blue Ribbon Sports in Beaverton, Oregon, but they didn't start by making sneakers. BRS initially operated as a distributor for the Japanese shoemaker Onitsuka Tiger, with Knight selling shoes straight out of his car at track meets. In its first year, BRS sold just 1,300 pairs of Japanese running shoes, grossing a modest $8,000. But this was only the beginning. By 1965, sales had more than doubled to $20,000, and a year later, BRS took a big leap by opening its first retail store on Pico Boulevard in Santa Monica, California. As word spread and sales climbed, BRS expanded its operations to the East Coast in Wellesley, Massachusetts in 1967. With business booming, Bill and Phil realized it was time to think bigger. They decided to focus their energy on creating top-notch athletic footwear for the American market. This decision set the stage for BRS to transform into the powerhouse now known as Nike, redefining the athletic shoe industry and laying the groundwork for global dominance. But first, to make their mark in the world of sports, Bill Bowerman and Phil Knight knew they had to create shoes that weren't just good, they had to be perfect for athletic activities. Unlike regular shoes, these needed to provide the right support, comfort, and durability to help athletes perform at their best. They understood that a great pair of shoes could make all the difference, turning good athletes into great ones by reducing fatigue and maximizing efficiency. So with this goal in mind, Bill and Phil rolled up their sleeves and got to work. With his coaching background, Bill began experimenting with new designs and materials. In 1971, his relentless drive to innovate led him to an unlikely source of inspiration: his wife's waffle iron. Bill was grappling with the challenge of creating a track shoe sole that could grip effectively but remain lightweight, which was crucial for increasing runner speed. At the time, Oregon's Hayward Field was transitioning to an artificial surface, and Bill needed a solution that could grip both grass and bark dust without relying on traditional spikes. One morning, while discussing the problem over breakfast with his wife, an idea sparked. Bill realized that the waffle iron's grid pattern could be the perfect design for a new rubber sole. He quickly got to work, pouring rubber into the waffle iron to create the prototype. That same year, Blue Ribbon Sports took a major leap by rebranding as Nike Inc., drawing inspiration from the Greek goddess of victory. Along with this bold new identity, Nike introduced its first line of footwear featuring the now iconic swoosh logo designed by a graphic design student, Carol Davidson. Bill's waffle iron experiment also led to the creation of the Moon Shoe in 1972, aptly named because its waffle-patterned tread was said to resemble the footprints left by astronauts on the moon. This innovative design didn't just look cool, it delivered the performance athletes needed, making it an instant hit. But Bowerman didn't stop there. He continued to refine his concept, and in 1974, the waffle trainer was born. Now, Nike had their identity and shoe design sorted out. The only problem was they still didn't have a plan on how to go viral, and surprisingly, it'd take them exactly 1 decade to figure out that plan when a 21-year-old rookie took the NBA by storm. That rookie was none other than Michael Jordan. Now, this is where the Nike story became the Jordan brand story. Back in 1984, Jordan exploded on the NBA scene, fresh off an epic college career at UNC, where he led his team to a national championship in 1982. Drafted third overall by the Bulls, Jordan and his agent David Falk began fielding offers from sports brands. Jordan was so confident in his potential that he demanded an exclusive sneaker model, something only a few top players had at the time. But here's the catch. The two biggest shoe brands weren't up to the task. On one hand, Adidas, still reeling from the loss of the founder's wife, couldn't focus on the new deals. And on the other, Converse, the NBA's official shoe brand, was already committed to its existing stars and wasn't keen on giving special treatment to a rookie. This left a golden opportunity for Nike, which was ready to pounce and turn Jordan's bold demand into a game-changing partnership. Sonny Vaccaro, the executive who led the company's negotiations with MJ, first spotted Jordan during the 1982 college basketball championship, where Jordan hit a game-winning shot. While James Worthy was crowned MVP, Vaccaro couldn't shake the image of this charismatic kid with his swagger and the signature tongue-out move. For Nike, the plan was simple. Jordan was the hottest young prospect, with the spotlight on him and fans rallying behind his every move. If they could lock him in, they could ride that wave and bring in everyone who wanted to be like Mike. But there was a problem. Jordan wasn't interested in Nike. In fact, he didn't even want to meet with him. And when Jordan finally did meet with Nike, things didn't exactly get off on the right foot. To start with, he didn't know who they were. But Sonny Vaccaro wasn't ready to give up. Nike had set aside a $2 million budget to sign multiple young players, but Vaccaro convinced him to go all in on Jordan, betting that a massive offer might just be enough to sway him. Then, just as things were looking promising, there was a major hiccup. The day before the big meeting, Jordan decided he wasn't going to show up. He didn't see the point in flying out for a deal he had no faith in. That's when Dolores Jordan, his mom, stepped in. She convinced her son to get on that plane. But when MJ finally sat down with Nike, he was far from impressed. He barely hid his lack of interest. But the proposal started to catch his family's attention. What really sealed the deal was Nike's bold offer to give Michael 5% of annual sales. This wasn't just a nice perk. It was a groundbreaking move that would eventually make Jordan the highest paid athlete of all time. Despite the enticing offer, Jordan didn't rush into a decision. It took a few months of consideration, but by the fall of that year, right before his NBA debut, the partnership was solidified. The deal would not only change the landscape of sports marketing, but also launch a brand that would become synonymous with greatness. Now, this partnership was a massive gamble for Nike, considering that Jordan was just a rookie who hadn't set foot yet on an NBA court. So to protect themselves, Nike built some serious stipulations into the deal. According to Jordan's contract, he had to achieve at least one of 3 milestones in his first 3 years: win the Rookie of the Year award, become an All-Star, and average at least 20 points a game in a season. If Jordan failed to get any of these targets, Nike could walk away from the deal after just 2 years. Of course, Jordan didn't just meet these demands, he crushed all of them in his rookie year. Winning Rookie of the Year, becoming an All-Star, and averaging more than 20 points a game, Jordan quickly erased any doubts Nike might have had. In his first game with the Chicago Bulls, Michael Jordan laced up in red and white sneakers that would later sell at an auction for a staggering $1.4 million. But the real story began later that year when the Air Jordan 1, designed specifically for him, finally hit the court. These bold red and black shoes instantly clashed with the NBA's uniform policy, which required sneakers to be primarily white. The league slapped Jordan with a $5,000 fine for every game he wore them. Instead of backing down, Nike saw a golden opportunity. They encouraged Jordan to keep rocking the rebellious kicks, promising to cover the fines. This defiant move turned into marketing gold. The controversy only fueled the hype, and within 6 weeks of its release, Nike sold over 1.5 million pairs of the Air Jordan 1. This was all the confirmation Nike needed to know that they had struck gold with MJ. Just 2 months after the release of the Nike Air Jordan 1, Nike had already raked in an astounding $70 million in sales by May. The demand for these sneakers was off the charts, and by the end of '85, the Jordan brand brought in over $100 million for the company. What was a gamble on a rookie quickly turned into one of the most successful ventures in sports marketing history. But beyond that, Jordan also revolutionized athlete endorsement deals in the world of sports. Throughout Jordan's NBA career, Nike released a new Air Jordan sneaker in every single season, setting a new standard for athlete endorsements. This commitment to an athlete was groundbreaking and changed the game for how sports stars could influence brands. The 90s saw the rise of the Be Like Mike craze, making Jordan a household name not just for his on-court prowess, but for his widespread brand appeal. He became the face of brands like Hanes, Coca-Cola, Wheaties, Gatorade, and McDonald's. Nike seized this moment, rolling out a series of ads highlighting his sneakers with the memorable memorable 1988 commercial featuring Spike Lee's catchphrase, "It's gotta be the shoes." Nike didn't stop there. They also secured Jordan with a contract giving him 5% royalties on every Jordan brand shoe sold. But Jordan's involvement didn't just end with a signature. He got hands-on in designing his shoes, which not only kept him engaged, but also reassured fans that they were investing in something special. His direct influence on the design process gave consumers extra confidence, knowing that a sports legend himself was behind the product. While the Jordan shoes were putting up incredible numbers, it wasn't until 1997 that the Jordan brand officially launched, with the Jumpman logo front and center. The Jordan brand quickly became more than just a symbol of basketball excellence. It turned into a major fashion icon. What started as athletic gear evolved into a must-have casual wear, making Air Jordans a staple in pop culture. Sneakers like Grape Air Jordan 5 even made appearances on TV shows like The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, where Will Smith rocked him, while the Air Jordan 13 was featured in the film He Got Game, worn by Denzel Washington. In the 90s, rappers like the notorious B.I.G., Ice Cube, and Jay-Z dropped references to Jordan sneakers and success in their lyrics. The Air Jordans also made their mark in music videos, with Jay-Z and Kanye West donning the Bred Air Jordan 1 and Varsity Red Air Jordan 6 in their 2011 video for Otis. Even though it's been 2 decades since Jordan played in the NBA, his impact is still incredibly massive. He didn't just change the game of basketball, he completely reshaped how we think about sneakers, making them a cultural phenomenon. Sneaker culture has been around since the 70s, but Air Jordans, they became the holy grail for collectors. People line up for hours just to get their hands on the latest drop or a retro release that brings back memories of MJ's legendary career. Today, the Jordan brand is still going strong. Even if Nike faces ups and downs, the Jumpman logo keeps climbing higher. It's clear this brand isn't going anywhere anytime soon. If anything, it's just getting started.